So our next section is looking at why certain organisms prefer to live in certain places and why are they more suited for certain areas than others. So we're going to look at those different areas around the earth and kind of discuss the different properties of those areas and why organisms would be preferring that area over something else. We have to look at climate, and when you look at climate, a lot of times you get confused with weather. Weather just tells you what the Earth's atmosphere is like right now at a given point in time in a given space. So, it's the weather for the day. You look at how hot it's going to be. Is it going to rain? What's the humidity going to be? That kind of thing. That's the weather. On the other end of that, the climate, when you talk about different areas around the world, climate really talks about the average weather of an area over an extended period of time. This is like their seasons. What is their weather like on average for a season or for the year or different points of the year? There's a few other factors that affect climate as well. So we look at seasons, we look at their latitude, how far they are from the equator, both north and south, and elevation, which is how high you are from sea level. So the higher up you are, say living in a mountainous area, that will affect your climate. If you're near a body of water, like an ocean or a large lake, or you live near a river, then that will affect the climate in that area as well. There are 5 different climate zones of the world. Each of them has a different combination of temperatures and precipitation. So we really have to look at what is the average temperature in the area and how much rainfall or snowfall or precipitation do they get on average for a year. A lot of them also contain subzones, and it's really important to understand these different biomes because that will help you to understand why animals live in that area. So climate zones gradually merge into each other. There is not a magical imaginary line that you cross over and now you're into the next climate zone. They merge into one another, and there are actually a lot of living things that flourish in those transitional areas. So they like different aspects of one area and different aspects of another, and so they flourish in that transitional area. Here is a map of the world, and you can see different climate areas. You have dry, tropical, temperate marine, temperate continental, and also polar climates. Those are our 5 climate zones. So here are some major biomes of the world. You've got a tundra. This includes frozen land year-round, areas that are very polar, very dry, it's frozen. You have a deciduous forest area. Obviously, because it's a forest, you're going to have trees. You also have moderate rainfall and temperatures. Moderate just means that they're kind of average, not extremely high or extremely low. So they have a medium amount of rainfall and pretty average temperatures. A desert is going to have less than 25 centimeters of rain per year. A savanna would have widely spaced trees and also lots of grassy areas in between those trees. Then they also have moderate to high temperatures in the savanna area. So they have some high temperatures, but generally pretty moderate. Coniferous forest has 2 seasons each year. It also has cooler temperatures on average and moderate precipitation. Grasslands have no trees, moderate rainfall and temperatures, and then chaparral has cool, wet winters and warm, dry summers. Droughts and fires are very common in this area because of the warm, dry summers. The tropical rainforest has rainfall that exceeds 250 centimeters per year and has various layers of growth, which we're going to look at. Here is a typical diagram of a rainforest area. You have the forest floor, which is very dense in small shrubs and small plants. The understory layer kind of creates a dividing factor between the forest floor and the canopy layer, which has all of the tree shrubs kind of creating a canopy, which makes it keep in the heat and also keep in the moisture. And then you have sometimes an emergent layer, which is trees that have broken beyond the canopy and are a little bit taller than the rest of the canopy layer. Okay, sometimes you also have vertical biomes, and this has to do with vertical zonation, which is changes that occur due to elevation. So the higher you go up a mountain, the more changes you will see. This includes the tropical rainforest, and then there are some mountain biomes that have elevation that looks similar to moving toward a pole. So you can see that here. Towards the ground level, you've got the ice and snow, the tundra layer. Then you might see a coniferous forest section, a deciduous forest section, a tropical forest area, and then it goes back from there, deciduous, coniferous, back to timberline, which is kind of like the tundra, and then the mountaintop, which is definitely very icy and snowy. All right, we also need to look at aquatic biomes. When we do that, we have to study water temperature and sunlight. Benthic organisms live on the ocean floor. It's very dark. There's no sunlight down there, and it's very cold. Pelagic organisms are the kind that can swim or drift with the currents. A lot of times they will swim in schools, especially in the ocean. The photic zone indicates that there is sunlight, and the aphotic zone indicates areas where there are no sunlight. The abyssal zone indicates an area that is just an abyss. It's a large, empty space. So when you look at this section, you really need to consider the difference between a climate zone and a biome, and how do they interact with one another, and be able to list abiotic factors that affect a biome. If you were given a picture or a diagram, you need to understand the different abiotic factors, the non-living parts of that biome, and things that affect that area.